Hello everyone, Greg here. Welcome to this month's Q&A, supported by everyone on Patreon. Thank you so much for all your support. And because of their support, they get to ask questions, and then here, I answer them for everyone to see. This month's topic is groceries. And a lot of questions about groceries. You guys have a lot. So the first one I'll answer is from Philza. And do kids in Japan scream and cry at the register because mom didn't get the waffles? Well, I would say no, because I don't even know if there are waffles in Japan. Like, you can get waffles, I'm sure, but at the regular grocery store in the frozen section or wherever, I don't think you really get waffles. You can get something that's, actually let me check. I don't know if I have it, but, oh, yeah, here we go. This is kind of like a pancake, and what's inside? Maybe butter inside. Sometimes they had red bean paste. Yeah, kids will misbehave in Japan all the time. How do they compare it to kids in North America? I don't know. It's been such a long time since I've been to North America. Yeah, the next question is actually from Tobias, and the questions are what are my comments on product branding and marketing of groceries? And man, I'm not starting off really strong in this Q&A because I don't have much opinion about the branding and the marketing. I think initially when I came to Japan, a lot of the advertisements or the way things are packaged, it kind of hit me a lot. Like, it was so different, right? So unique. But now that I've been here for 5 years, it just seems normal to me. So, for example, here's this packaging. This packaging, this seems, I don't know, pretty normal. So, yeah, unfortunately I don't have much comments about that. I thought there was a question about kids, so that's why I kind of hesitated for a bit. Maybe that's farther down the line, but so I know someone asked, is there stuff marketed towards kids? And I would say absolutely yes. And actually one of the things looks kind of similar to this. It's called Ampam. And it's by Ampam Man, and like Man, Ampam Man, and he's a character, he's a really old character, and he helps sell the red bean paste buns. But there's tons of stuff, gummies and snacks, candies, all that kind of stuff, and they'll be on the lower level of the shelves. So there definitely are snacks targeted towards kids. I would say one of the differences I noticed about snacks and packaging is that they are in smaller portions. So while kids will snack, I think they'll probably consume less than your average North American. Example. So this is a snack package, but you got these little ones. So this is, this doesn't even have calories on it. That's odd. Maybe on this bag it will. Oh, okay, there you go. 90 calories in this, so a kid will have this. 90 calories, not bad, versus say a big bag of chips or a big chocolate bar or something, which could be 300 calories. Okay, so Ruben and Ron both asked about, is it normal to stock up on a few weeks of groceries all at once, like you do in North America? And also asked about the must-have items in a pantry. So for the stocking up on items, I would say generally no. It's not similar to North America. You go a few times a week, and for most of your stuff. Now there are certain things that you'll have as staples, right? And that goes to your question, what's in the pantry? So you'll have rice. That is a definite thing. You'll have tofu. Actually, let me go into the fridge and get some stuff here. Okay, I'm back. So this is miso paste. You would always have this in your fridge, I think. Tofu, another thing you'd always have. You'd have more North American-y type of things like eggs and milk. So yeah, some stuff like that you'll have around, and rice, of course, it's always a must. And then for vegetables, you'd have carrots and onions. I think that's a fairly common thing. And some type of leafy green thing, not necessarily like an iceberg lettuce or romaine lettuce, or any other types of lettuces. It'd be more like a something close to spinach. There's komatsuna, which is more local to Japan. Yeah, so stuff like that. Next question from Hanya. I'm Muslim, so when it comes to food, I can't consume pork or alcohol or any byproducts like pork gelatin, for example. How often are these hidden ingredients that, or how often are these hidden, kind of, so that I would have to look out for them at restaurants or grocery stores? So I talked to people with specific dietary restrictions, and they said you do really have to be careful, especially at restaurants, because they might use a broth that has pork in it. And so while the dish isn't like a meat dish, it might have that pork in there that you're not expecting. Or if you go to a grocery store and you're getting those bento boxes, those kind of pre-made meals, freshly pre-made meals, I guess, or ready-to-go meals, they won't necessarily list all the ingredients, so you have to be careful about that as well. Generally, if it's on a package, kind of something like this, you're going to be a bit safer. But the thing about that is, you mentioned gelatin. Well, it might not say it's pork gelatin. It might just say gelatin. So you're not 100% sure. So the recommendation would be is if you're going to restaurants, call ahead. There's also some restaurants that specialize in certain cuisine. So I live in Tokyo. You can find anything you want. So there are places that specialize for halal. And the same would go for groceries. There are halal markets they can go to, and that's your safest bet. Now from Santeri, I'm just mispronouncing all the names, by the way, so I apologize. What kind of foods do everyday work week meals consist of? So I asked my wife this, and she said, miso soup, that's very common, and rice, that's also very common. She said she might whip up a salad, so cucumbers, tomatoes, carrots, tofu. So not your leafy type of salad you might be used to in North America or in Europe. Yeah, grilled fish. Actually, I have a grilled fish. Okay, so this is not grilled yet, but we'd grill this. You'd have stuff that you can cook up using sauce packets. So this is for curry, but it could be a whole bunch of different types of food. And so what you'd do is you'd take your protein, like your meats, take some vegetables, throw it in there, and cook up some rice, and then you make your curry using this, and boom, you have a meal. And lastly, some frozen stuff. So we'll have like gyozas or hambagu, things that you can just pull out of your freezer. And I think we'll actually make a video just on that someday. Okay, so Jesse, in Canada, as you know, usually a farmer's market's produce is massively higher priced than in the supermarkets, although the quality is better. How does it compare in Japan? And I think you went on to ask about, they seemed lower in Japan, the produce you can get fresh from farmers. And my explanation would be is the farmer can sell it straight to the grocery store, or they can sell it direct to you. So when they're selling it to the grocery store, the grocery store has to mark it up, right? Whereas when they're selling it direct to you, they don't have to mark it up like that. So there's not a big difference in pricing. So let me give a local example. So beside our house, we have kind of a box where you can grab the food from. You can just put your 100 yen or 200 yen or 100 yen coins in there and buy some food and take it out. And I guess because no one's there, you don't have that labor cost. But sometimes they do have, I guess during peak times, they'll have some people there as well selling. But I guess because they're selling direct, it just doesn't cost as much money. And even though they could be considered organic, they're not certified organic, so maybe you don't have that price premium as well. Another point I would say is that my father-in-law, he is retired. He's in his 70s, but he does work on a farm. And the thing about the farm is that when you run a farm, you pay taxes that are a lot lower. So they're not necessarily running these farms for a big profit. They just want to pay less taxes. So, for example, my father-in-law probably makes something like minimum wage to work on the farm, and then they pay little taxes. So they're just kind of, I'm not getting rid of the produce, but they're not trying to make a ton of money off of the produce. That's not the point of it. So maybe that's why prices are a bit lower in that regard as well. Okay, so Janet. Some price comparisons to the US-Canada standard of living would be interesting. I agree. Having traveled to Japan, I think eating out can be more expensive, but it seemed like groceries are cheaper. Actually, I think eating out is cheaper. I don't. Maybe it depends on where in Canada you are. I'm coming from BC and Vancouver area, and with the taxes and tips, your average meal I would say is definitely more expensive than in Tokyo. So Tokyo, your tax is generally included when you see the price, and you don't tip. You can definitely get a good lunch meal for under $10, maybe something $7, $8. And when you're going to dinner time, most places I never pay more than 15, but even closer around 10, 11, 12, that's kind of more the price. So yeah, I think the standard of quality in Japanese restaurants are just higher than the standard of quality in Canadian. So um, you're always getting a pretty good level of quality no matter what price you're paying. So now for groceries, it really depends on what you are getting. So another item that is a staple actually is daikon, and those are those giant radishes. Okay, so this is not the whole daikon. The daikon would be like maybe this long, and maybe this costs like $1 or something like that. So pretty cheap, relatively. So you do that, you get onions, tofu, the miso, all those Japanese ingredients, they're fairly affordable. It's when you start getting things like kiwis, apples. Actually, apples are in Japan, but just fruits in Japan are more expensive than in Canada, for sure, and in America. So it depends on what ingredients you're buying. They can be more cheaper or more expensive. Overall, though, just thinking about my food budgets between the countries, I don't think there's much difference. Okay, next question. What I've learned. So he was looking for grass-fed butter, and he noticed, price differences in imported things, and he wanted to know why are some imported things super expensive, and why do some seem to be about the same price as you pay in the country of origin? I really don't know the answer to this one. Obviously, if you order in bulk, you can get better prices. Maybe the actual location is closer to Japan than some other countries. Maybe there's different import-export taxes. It depends on the volume and the demand for a certain type of product. So I couldn't really tell you, and I'm sure it really is specific on the exact ingredient you're getting. All right, Lord Liquid Bacon II. Is it easy to get most of the ingredients and foods you ate when living in Canada? Do you eat mostly Japanese food now because of where you live? And does this lead you to get cravings for food that is difficult to obtain or make in Japan? I would say it is not easy to get a lot of the ingredients that I used to use in Canada for cooking. Yeah, there's so many things, like if I want to make, I guess, tacos or pasta or something like that, or like a chicken Caesar salad. Those are things I would make in Canada. Although I know like the tacos we make in Canada are not the same as the Mexican tacos, but I had a hard time going to the local grocery stores to find ingredients for that kind of stuff. Like for example, ground beef. I want to make a lasagna. You can't get a lot of ground beef at your local grocery store. I buy the whole thing out, and I still don't have enough sometimes. So it's kind of odd that way to me. But if I do really want to find the ingredients, we do live in Tokyo, so you can go to specialty shops, you can order online, Amazon. You can definitely get your hands on the ingredients. It's just not as easy as popping over to the local grocery store, though. Now, Sarah Louise, you had asked a question similar, but to someone else, but you also had a question about, I know in Tokyo you have 7-Eleven stores, but what about other stores where people may get groceries from? How do they compare to 7-Eleven, such as price, quality, and quantity? Are you talking about the convenience stores? I think a lot of convenience stores are similar to 7-Eleven in quality, so I wouldn't say that. I don't feel there's a massive difference in quality. Grocery stores, I think, would have better food than 7-Eleven. And it depends which grocery store, because some are more premium, some are not as much. Let's see here. But, you know, prices, you'll pay more for a convenience store. That's just a given, yeah. Julie, what is the strangest produce you have bought, prepared, and eaten? I think my answer is pretty tame for this because I wouldn't buy strange produce and try to eat it anyways, or something that I think is strange. Now this is a fairly, I don't know, standard Japanese answer or foreign answer for Japanese stuff. It's not produce, but this is another staple in Japan. This is natto. And I mean, our first video, Aiko prepares and eats it. And for the natto, it's something that I just don't like the smell of it and the texture of it, the taste. But I mean, people in Japan love this stuff. Most people do. So that's probably what I would answer if there's some type of Japanese thing that I don't really like eating. Okay, Leah, why are there so many milk options? And we only really have 3 here in the US, and what I've seen in Canada, there's fat, low fat, and full fat. Then there's half and half cream. There seem to be 20 options in Japan. I think maybe, well, let me just go with straight up milk, okay? So this is whole milk, 3.6% at least fat in here. So it's like, in Canada we call this homogenized or whole milk. And you can see here it says it's gyunyu, 100% use, right? So it's milk, 100% milk, whole milk. That is your typical standard milk you'll get. You are probably more hard pressed to find like the 2% or the 1% options. I never run into the problem of accidentally picking one up. I'm sure if you go to specialty shops you could find it, but yeah. Now there is something called Nyuinryo, and that is milk beverage, and we call it fake milk around the house. So that's something that it's kind of like watered down milk, and it has fortifications in it. So I guess it's supposed to give you the same amount of vitamins or something, or calcium as milk, but it's not all milk. And then you get flavors with it that are like, say, coffee or lemon. So maybe there's a lot more variety of that type of fake milk or I don't know, milk beverage that you see, and that's why you see lots of options. Another thing, there are yogurt drinks, and I don't think I have any now, but Shin's probably drank some in some of the videos, little bottles, and you can get a few different types of varieties of that. You can also get drinks in vending machines even that are like yogurt drinks. So there's a lot of stuff like that, but if you're just talking about, hey, I want to go to the grocery store and get some milk, I don't really think there are that many options. I would say there are less than what I would find in Canada. Okay, I think that is all the questions. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.